The Ravens lost to the Lions on Monday night, but the final score wasn't the real story. What grabbed everyone's attention was what John Harbaugh said right after the game. He didn't hold back. He didn't sugarcoat it. And he made it crystal clear what the biggest problem is with this team. And the way he said it has a lot of people worried about what this season could turn into. If you think this loss was just a simple slip-up, wait until you hear the numbers and understand why Harbaugh's words sounded more like a warning siren. What's going on with Baltimore's defense could be a much bigger issue than it looks on the surface. John Harbaugh didn't waste any time after the loss to the Lions. At the podium, he came right out and said it. The biggest problem was stopping the run. His exact words were, "That was bad run defense, and that's not who we are." Direct, blunt, no softening the blow. He made it clear this team failed at the one thing they had to do well. That kind of statement tells us two things. First, Harbaugh isn't about to cover up for his players when they don't get the job done. And second, he knows exactly where the weakness lies right now. When a head coach speaks like that, it's not just for the media. It's a message straight to the locker room, meant to hit the players where it hurts and push them to respond. The problem is, his honesty only highlighted just how vulnerable this defense really is. It's not about a few tactical adjustments or small mistakes. Baltimore flat out couldn't stop the basics, holding the line against the run in key situations. And that's alarming for a franchise built on toughness, physicality, and defensive consistency. Harbaugh knows the truth. If this weakness continues, it won't matter how explosive the offense is. The defense will give it all back on the other side. It's like chasing a scoreboard that never stops moving. That's why his criticism was so sharp and so public. He wanted everyone to understand the urgency. And when you dig into the numbers from that Lions game, it paints an even darker picture of just how deep this problem runs. That game against Detroit was basically a how not to play defense tutorial. The Ravens gave up 224 rushing yards and 426 yards total. They allowed 4 drives of over 60 yards and 2 of more than 90. That doesn't happen by accident. It's the mark of a defense that completely lost control at the line of scrimmage. But the most alarming stat? 20 missed tackles. 20. For a team that's always prided itself on being physical, disciplined, and relentless, that number is almost unbelievable. Every missed tackle was like opening a new door for Detroit's offense, and they walked right through it. That kind of sloppy play shows not only technical problems, but also a lack of focus and execution. On top of that, the pass rush went silent. For the first time in 57 straight games, the Ravens didn't record a single sack. That meant Jared Goff had all the time he wanted to find receivers and pick apart the defense without breaking a sweat. When you can't stop the run, and you can't pressure the quarterback, you're setting yourself up for disaster. This wasn't just a loss. It was a flashing red warning light. Detroit showed everyone exactly how to attack this Ravens defense. And unless something changes fast, other teams are going to follow that blueprint. And the troubling part is, it's not just one game. The pattern is already showing up across the season. And when you zoom out and look at the season as a whole, the numbers make the situation even harder to ignore. Baltimore's offense is the highest score in the league, but that doesn't matter when the defense keeps giving it all back. Through 3 games, the Ravens have allowed 1,245 total yards, the worst in the NFL. Against the run, they've given up 447 yards, ranking 3rd worst. You simply can't win consistently with numbers like that. The contrast couldn't be sharper. Lamar Jackson and the offense are doing everything they can to keep the team competitive, but the defense keeps undoing it by letting opponents move down the field with ease. When you score points but can't stop anyone, the end result is obvious. More losses than wins, even with a roster built to contend. And those numbers aren't just empty stats. They tell the story of a team completely out of balance. The defense is giving up back-breaking plays, allowing long, draining drives that wear everyone out and knock the offense off rhythm. There's no attack in football explosive enough to cover for that week after week. That's why Harbaugh's frustration came out so raw. He knows if this doesn't change immediately, the season is going to slip away in a hurry. The stats are already screaming urgency, and if they don't get fixed, they're going to find this season as a lost one, And what makes it sting even more is that this collapse coincided with the end of a historic streak for the defense.
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.
For 57 straight games, the Ravens had recorded at least one sack. That streak symbolized what this defense has always been: aggressive, disruptive, and relentless. But against the Lions, it was broken. 0 sacks, 0 pressure, and a streak that once defined the team's toughness came to a screeching halt. When a defense can't generate pressure, the quarterback is living the dream. And for a talented offense like Detroit's, that comfort means time to pick matchups, hit open receivers, and even scramble when needed. Combined with the run defense falling apart, it created a perfect storm. The front seven failed on both fronts, and the Lions made them pay for it. Breaking that streak also hits the team psychologically. The Ravens' identity has always been tied to being aggressive up front, and seeing that streak collapse in the middle of such an ugly performance felt symbolic, like they lost a piece of who they are. For the players, it's a harsh reminder that nothing about their reputation is guaranteed. This can't be brushed off as just a fluke. It exposed real structural issues in the scheme and in execution. And now, every team watching film of this game has a clear blueprint for how to attack the Ravens. And what makes it even worse is how familiar this story already feels. Because this isn't the first season that started with defensive breakdowns. This isn't an isolated crisis. Just last year, the Ravens also stumbled out of the gate because of their defense. In 2023, it was a secondary that couldn't hold up against the pass. This year, the problem has shifted, but it's just as damaging. The front seven has been a revolving door for opposing rushing attacks. That shows that even with changes and additions, this defense still hasn't found balance. Every year, there seems to be a new weak spot that drags a team down, and the repetition of that pattern is starting to raise real questions about the unit's consistency as a whole. What makes it worse is that the offense looks sharper than ever. Lamar Jackson is playing at a high level. The weapons are producing, and everything on that side of the ball is ready to compete. But once again, the defense is threatening to sabotage all of it. That frustration was written all over Harbaugh's comments, because he knows this story is repeating itself in a way that could derail the season. If Baltimore doesn't fix this quickly, they risk living out the same script as last year, starting slow, dropping winnable games, and then needing a near-perfect run at the end just to make up for it. Only this time, the stakes are even higher because the offense is ready to win now, but the defense isn't keeping pace. That disconnect between offense and defense has put the Ravens at a real crossroads. Either they find answers immediately on defense, or all that offensive firepower will go to waste in another uneven, frustrating season. What this loss made crystal clear is that the Ravens have an offense built to compete with anyone, but their defense is dragging them down. John Harbaugh spelled out himself. It's not just a minor issue, it's an identity problem. If they can't fix the run defense, it won't matter how many points Lamar and the offense put on the board. The season will slip right through their fingers. So now it's on you. Do you think the Ravens can tighten up this defense in time to contend at the top of the AFC, or is the hole deeper than it looks? One thing's for sure. If this team doesn't rediscover the defensive toughness that's always defined Baltimore, 2025 could end up being another wasted year.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself.